I'll be starting in under a minute. Just give me a second. Let people link up. What's up, Luke? Huh. Computer's messing up. Another 15, 20 seconds. All right. What's up, everyone? And I'll go live on Facebook too. Oh, wait. All right, we're going to be talking about the okay. One more thing. I'm tired. Lord, y'all don't know, boy. Your boy be struggle is real. All right, let's forget it. Hey, China. Might as well, man. All right, let's get started. Thanks for tuning in to the. Wow, that looks terrible, but we do it. Make we do it. Turn this all the way down. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay. What's up, everybody? This is Bro Diallo broadcasting out of the sanctuary city that is Chicago. I'm sorry I wasn't live Friday. Just to give you a little insight on my struggles, my oldest son wiped out on his skateboard on Thursday and broke his leg. So took him to the hospital. They kept him overnight. He's at home resting in good comfort, but he broke his leg on his skateboard, so I had to spend all night and all day in the hospital on Friday tending to him and his broken leg. About 3 years ago, he wiped out on his skateboard and broke his wrist, so I think it might be time to confiscate um, a Romo Kenyatta, a Romo skateboard. It's about time to dead that. He and his mom had a discussion, but I mean, he's really good, but that's probably his problem, that he's so good on the skateboard that he thinks he doesn't have to take precautions. But anyway, that's the reason for my absence Friday. But you know, Aluta continua. We're gonna keep progressing. Anyway, also today, what I want to talk about is, and let me just be honest, and I'm gonna name names. Ghazi put out a alert saying that we should do something about Farrakhan being banned from social media, from Facebook in particular. And he said that it's not about Farrakhan, it's about the principle. And if I don't know if y'all remember, a couple of years ago, he also said we need to rally for Stephen Clark. And it's not about Stephon Clark, a young black man who said that he don't want nothing black except an Xbox. He made a deliberate choice. I mean, this young man, Stephon Clark, was engaged in eugenics. There's no other way to say it. He was selectively breeding or selectively chose the woman to have a child with that deliberately was not a black woman because he wanted to internally in his own bloodline erase blackness. And he was killed by the cops. I don't know if I gotta redo or rehash this whole story, but he was killed by the cops, and the black community, as always, we rallied to his side, especially black women, ironically. You know, I remember on the first day of protest, there were half a dozen black women arrested protesting the police murder of Stephon Clark. And Ghazi made another video saying, it doesn't matter, it's not about Stephon Clark. First of all, by the time you have to say the core individual involved that we are rallying around isn't relevant, then we don't need to be engaged in those actions. That's just my position, 2019. Because guess what? Trayvon Martin, it mattered. Trayvon Martin, in particular, as an individual, along with the larger history, the larger conditions surrounding his murder, Trayvon Martin mattered. Hell, even Rodney King was relevant. LaQuinn McDonald, Sandra Bland. Not only am I ready to, Michael Brown, not only am I ready to rally around the issues, I'm ready to lend my reverence, support, and solidarity with the individual who was targeted, who was suffered the atrocity, who was murdered, and I'm proud to align with them. I don't have to compromise anything. I don't have to ignore anything about those individuals. And by the time I gotta say, this ain't about Farrakhan, this ain't about Stephon Clark, I'm out of the whole thing. And here's why. Well, there's a number of reasons why. Number one, if you have been, because social media is racist, and if you've been rallying around racism and censorship, black censorship in social media, the day before Farrakhan was banned, you can continue your rallying around the black racism and censorship in social media the day after Farrakhan was banned and not have to sully yourself with Farrakhan. If you were rallying around police atrocities before Stephon Clark was murdered, and then you were continue that work, you don't have to sully your hands. I'll take you further. If you're the larger system, we all know, if Obama was in office doing the same stuff Trump was doing, Obama would be locked up at Leavenworth military prison, if not in Guantanamo. We know it, but we should not care. We shouldn't say, oh, it's about the office, or it ain't even about who Obama is. Oh, yes, it is. Those days of pro-blackness, if they black and a black person go down, we all gone. Fight, black and white. If black don't win, we all jump in. Remember that? Those days are gone. Now, what has happened is we've got obsolete standards that do not serve our interests in the modern era. Since 1964, the Civil Rights Act was signed and brought into legislation. This was the great victory of the civil rights integrationist movement. The integrationists for many years were fighting to tear down racial barriers for black people to fully integrate into the systems and institutions of global white domination. And after 1964, a whole new class of black people emerged that never existed in the United States. That new class of black, and also you also have to connect, because no black movement has ever been, I don't care if it was slavery. You cannot understand African chattel slavery and how it proceeded, how it was structured without understanding Caribbean slavery, Central and Latin American slavery, and African colonization. You cannot understand the African civil rights movement unless you tie it in with the non-alignment movement of Latin and Central America, the Caribbean decolonization struggle, and the African decolonization struggle. So at the same time we were being integrated, the African nations were securing independence. And so when we got civil rights legislation, black integration, and black decolonization, a whole new class of black people emerged that didn't exist before. And these were the integrated blacks. These were the black people who went on to become mayors of major cities. Mayor Good, Wilson Good, Mayor David Dinkins, even Harold Washington, Reverend Cleaver, mayor of every major city had a black mayor following that area from 68 into the 90s and early 80s. Black mayors, black principals, black generals in the Norman Schwarzkopf, the black Supreme Court justices. Black people were in positions they never had, and black people were accumulating wealth that they never had, and black people had access to spaces they never had before. So there was a whole new class of black people that didn't exist before, prior to desegregation and decolonization of the Caribbean, Central Latin America, and Africa. Before, you always had collaborators. But even the collaborator knew. The collaborator, the slave that went and snitched on massa, could not walk out then and whistle at a white woman because he'd get lynched. So snitching to massa still left you in a certain box. And black people were in this certain box, and we could move around and maneuver within that box. But the box was not broken in decolonization and integration. It was greatly expanded. So when black people, if you were a black person prior to 1964 in the United States, you were in this box. And so the lowest black person, and compared to the highest black person, there wasn't a very great distance between the two of us. But after decolonization and emancipation, the box expanded greatly. So the black people at the bottom can't even see the black people at the top anymore. So in this block, pro-blackness was legitimate. It was rational, and it served us. There was a time, and I said this before if you follow the Bro Diallo show, the greatest black entertainers, Cab Calloway, Heidi-O, Louis Armstrong, Sammy Davis Jr. There was a time where our greatest artist, our greatest novelist, our most brilliant surgeon, Dr. Charles Drew, pioneers in medicine, all of them, every single one of those black people, no matter how wealthy, the black minister, the black banker, the black great performance artist, what's the polymath? Whenever I try to think of a name when I'm on live, it escapes me. The communist, what's his name? Anyway, his name just escapes me. Let me not struggle with that. I'll pull it up in a second. But these greatest black men, no matter how your accomplishment, if you were walking down the street in Memphis, Tennessee in 1958, and you were black, and a raggedy white trash white boy was coming your way, I don't care who you were, you better hop your ass off that sidewalk. So in that era, Paul Robeson, thank you. Paul Robeson, a scholar, an athlete, an artist. He was everything. He was everything. And he understood. So when we were pro-black, even the best among us were still, as I say, key word, among us, the best among us. So even if a black person was a sellout, even if a black person grinned a little too much in white folks' faces, even a black person was a little too quick to run to Mr. Charlie with some news, you understood that, hey, even that black Uncle Tom understood there's only so far I could go in all this. And and there's only so much distance I can place between myself and the black masses. So between emancipation, the era of chattel slavery, emancipation, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, legalized segregation, all the way in that era, pro-blackness was a rational position. It was a necessary position. It was a fruitful position. But in 2019, we got black multi-billionaires. We have black hedge fund managers. We have black presidents of the United States. We have black dictators We have sovereign black authoritarian leaders. We have black people that are so distanced from the core interests of our people that if we engage in pro-blackness, we get around to the point where we start supporting black people who are subversive to our better interest. And a lot of the Uncle Tom sellouts and these black people have gotten hip to that. Obama understood, I don't have to do anything from black people. And I would, if Obama did nothing for black people, I'd have more respect for him. But black Obama said, I can pull the rug out from under black people. But I'm black. And then we have these people that have this unity fetish. Oh, we black people got to stick together. Black people got to, and they will even argue that people like me who says it's fully appropriate to deem black individuals or whole segments, black populations, unworthy of solidarity, unworthy of our support, unworthy of us acknowledging when they come under the attack of other oppressive entities. And they would say, oh, you want to divide our people. And it's absolutely true. I absolutely want to divide our people. I want our people to no longer just to say we're united because of race. Garvey said race first, not race only. So yes, you're black, you get 1 point. Are you Pan-Africanist? Are you ADOS? Are you integrationist? That's number 2. I gotta know, what is your ideology? Number 3, you a capitalist? You a socialist? Number 4, what are your attitudes about other vulnerable populations of African people? What are your attitudes about poor blacks? What is your attitude towards black women? What are your attitudes for black people struggling with addiction? So there's a lot more that we have to ask besides, is you black? It's a lot more that we have to ask. And it's fully appropriate. Because what has happened is the black elite, the black intelligentsia, the black investment capitalist class, the black authoritarian leaders, black demagogues, they get the most benefit from black solidarity and they feed the least into it. They extract the most from our people and they return the least. They stand when they want to go make money, and I've seen this not just with the billionaires, but with upper middle class black people. They party with black, they celebrate, they come to our cultural events, they kick it with us, but when it comes time for investment, for building, they with white people. Right in this city, I know affluent, wealthy black people that have no business ties. Now they come to the black community, they come to these poor black schools I've sat in the classroom, and they tell them you can achieve your dreams. You can open this, you can open that, and they give us inspiration, and they're role models, and they're hashtag goals. But when it comes time for them to sign 6-figure checks, they're handing it over to white investment institutions. They're handing it over to institutions that work directly against us. And even if they come and open a charity in the hood, they're invested in Arab-owned factories in Bangladesh. They got stock in Lockheed Martin, Boeing. And so they can party with us, they can celebrate with us, they can even cry and moan and join us in our protest of racism. But when it comes time to getting resources and exercising power, there's nobody else in the room. Jay-Z, there's this picture online of Jay-Z sitting across from Warren Buffett and Forbes, 2 white billionaires. And do you think he was talking justice with them? Even Mayweather, every black person, go look at these black people. And every black person wants to have a picture of them standing next to Forbes. They used to stand next to Trump. Go back to the 80s and 90s. All the wealthy, all the affluent Russell Simmons had pictures next to Trump. Now they want a picture with Forbes, or they want a picture with the other guy. Because their interests aren't our interests. A lot of these black people that out here talking about, yeah, fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump. They are making millions of dollars off of Trump and the Republican Party's, Warren Buffett, thank you, Republican Party's tax reform. You know, Common. Common posted this this image and talking about his regret for this military attack. While he's starring, I'm sure he got at least six figures to star in this movie called Hunter Killer, which is Pentagon funded, Pentagon written propaganda. He's making pro U.S. empire movies at the same time he comes to us and talk about stop the violence, y'all. Snoop Doggy Dogg did a public service announcement saying that he was going to divest all his money from gun industry. And he does these PSAs. A lot of our celebrities are going to Israel doing these little private concerts. Even when you look at Saddam Hussein back in the early 90s, and they were going after his sons, and they were freezing the accounts of all these oligarchs that they were, when they were ramping up the war on terror, and they were showing their financial documents and showing rappers like 50 Cent will go to Dubai or go to the United Arab Emirates somewhere or go to the Caribbean and do these little secret little parties for these wealthy Arab oligarchs. They're in bed with oppressors, with dictators, with people who are raping entire continents. And black elites are not just, it used to be just Sammy Davis Jr. could go stand and dance for the white elites. But now they can go invest. They can jet set. Where do Richard Branson, look this guy up. Richard Branson is bankrolling the subversion and giving large sums of money to the insurgents, the treasonous Venezuelans. And the day after Obama got out of office, he was windsurfing with Richard Branson. So we have to understand that within our own race, all black people are oppressed. But there are a small group of black people who profit from oppression, who invest in oppression, who are very comfortable and cozy with our oppressors. Yes, the Virgin, Richard Branson's from Virgin. That's exactly who I'm talking about. So now it's not enough to have a racial analysis, because we also have to have a class analysis. We also have to understand the class interest and how many black people, their racial interest diverge with their economic interest. And we have to determine, does this individual at the many moments every day, if you're a multimillionaire black person and you've got money in the capitalist system, every day that you wake up, there is an ongoing conflict between your racial and your economic interest, between your class and your caste. And where will you fall? And that's up to them to make that choice. But the mass of us, we also have to make a choice. Are we going to, and let me tell you this, and I don't care what anybody say, right now, the most valuable thing black people have right now, I don't care where you find a black person, is black solidarity. Black money, black education, black talent, black music, black athletes, black oil, black diamonds, black copper. Everything you look that you can attach to blackness, black history, our great grand accomplishments. The only thing that's gotten us this far is black solidarity. That's it. That's the most valuable thing we have. That's the only asset we as a people have. And that's why it's so devalued. That's why it's not studied. It's not understood. It's not deliberately cultivated. That's the most valuable asset, and we squander it. We give it away. If I'm a revolutionary freedom fighter and the police assault me and my family, and we got a black man who says, I don't want any black people around me. I hate black women. I don't want black offspring. I want not only to not contribute to the interest of my people, I don't even want to acknowledge that I'm of my people. Revolutionary freedom fighter, self-hating race traitor. Both suffer from police atrocities, and we march equally. We stand equally with both of them. What is the incentive for the one who stands with us? If you look at every other group, there are great incentives if you are a Jewish person to support Zionism. There are direct consequences if you don't support Zionism. There are some of the greatest Jewish scholars in the world, starting with Noam Chomsky. He can't even go. Noam Chomsky's Jewish, the most celebrated scholar in the modern era since Einstein. There's been no Jew more celebrated than since Einstein. He's not allowed to go. Dr. Norman Finkelstein. Miko Pele. Miko Pele is from the family, the general who led the army to establish the nation of Israel. And he is persona non grata. And neo-Nazis could string him up and burn him in the middle of Times Square. And the Jewish people, any Jewish person that spoke up in solidarity with them would not be supported, would be cast aside too. And it ain't just Jews. Look at your Anglo-Saxon white Protestant. Go study Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden is an all-American Yankee Doodle dandy, apple pie eating, red-blooded, all-American white boy who is, again, by their standards, a genius, a self-educated computer genius. He used to be a libertarian. He still is a libertarian. He even has a conservative. And they ran his ass out of this country on fire. And if Edward Snowden, this all-American white boy, set foot in American soil, they throw him in the bottom of a federal prison. Pat Tillman. Go look up Pat Tillman. This guy was an NFL, red-blooded, one of them, strong Neanderthal jaw white dudes. Pat Tillman. He was drafted to the NFL. And he said, I don't want to go to the NFL. I want to go to Iraq and fight for liberty. I want to take democracy to Iraq and bring vengeance on the terrorists for 9/11. So he laid down a multi-million-dollar football, and he was a hero. George Bush, the entire military was using him in military campaign posters. And he got over there and was like, this isn't freedom. This isn't democracy. This is an illegal slaughter. And guess what? The military killed him. Do I need to go to Ireland? Ireland has had an 800-year fight against white-on-white crime, against colonization. Africans are better at decolonizing ourselves than the Irish. And there were strict standards. Are you Protestant? Are you Catholic? Are you a unionist or do you seek independence? That line was drawn. Let's go to Russia. The Bolsheviks, the Mensheviks. I'm not even talking about the Tsarist and the communist. Even within the communists, there was a grand conflict. You go to China, the nationalists and the communists. Everybody has these divides. Look at Vietnam. Again, the communists versus the nationalists. Go to Korea, North Korea, South Korea. You stand on what you stand on. If we got to cut this whole country in half. Because I tell you, a people who don't have an internal code that say, hey, to our own people, we ain't talking to or about anybody else. This is our code. This is our standard. This is our agenda. Do you stand with the agenda or do you stand against the agenda? These are the rewards. These are the acknowledgments that come with standing with the agenda. These are the consequences with going against the interest and the agenda. Fuck unity. Don't fuck unity. Let me take that back. Understand unity. You have operational unity. You have program. There are several types of unity. I did a whole write-up. Unity is not everybody getting along. Unity is not everybody feeling good. Unity is not avoiding saying bad things about your own people. Don't talk bad against your unity. That is not unity. Unity is, here's the standard. Who holds to the standard? Who follows the agenda? Who holds to the protocol? Who is standing with the people? That's what unity is. Unity is rewarding those who hold to unity, punishing those who violate unity. So as I said, the most valuable thing we have as a people, the most valuable thing we have is black solidarity. And it should be one of the hardest things to get and the easiest things to lose within our community. I'll say it again. Black solidarity should be the hardest thing to obtain and the easiest thing to lose in the black community. there should be a requirement, a standard that you have to hold to. And if you violate it, and even if you don't personally violate it, meaning that you go against the people, if you fail to be with the people, because there's a lot of people being neutral. I'm doing me. I'm getting mine. I'm trying to get paid. I ain't hurt nobody. Oh, yeah, no, I got me a black queen at home. I ain't hurt nobody, but I'm going to do me. I'm going to secure the bag. That, in a time of genocidal oppression, is a treasonous position. Kwame Ture said you're either with the people or against the people. So did Chairman Fred Hampton. There is no neutral position. There is no individual route. The individual route is solidarity with the oppressor. So a black person who is not deliberately acting to advance the interests of African people is as bad as a black person who is actively subverting the interests of black people. And I tell you, we have to take these positions, because if we do not take these positions, we cannot radicalize, revolutionize, and eventually liberate our people. So no, you cannot say the person who provoked the action is not relevant to the action. Not today. Not in 2019. So to protest Farrakhan's expulsion from Facebook is to stand in solidarity with Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. And if you can't do that with all pride, and there's a lot of people doing it, I'm not even beefing with them. I'm not doing it. You want to go to the streets for a Stephon Clark, even if you want to stand up and wail at the top of a mountain about how the imbalance, you want to fight for Bill Cosby, you want to fight for R. Kelly and say it ain't about Bill Cosby, it ain't about R. Kelly. Fuck you then. The first thing I want to know, what the hell was your position before the white man came for you personally? Were you empathetic and embracing us collectively before you were targeted individually? If not, no solidarity for you. And I know I don't control black solidarity. I only control 1/1 billionth of black solidarity. This little light of mine, this little light, my 1/1 billionth of black solidarity is very hard to obtain. But once you have it, you can call me 2, 3 in the morning. Yo, brother Diallo, reach out to me. And I expect to be able to do the same. So I understand how valuable it is. And I would like to politicize black solidarity. I would like to standardize black solidarity. I would like to weaponize black solidarity. And I would like to make it more exclusive than Jordans, more precious than them rocks and the ice and the gold that the right. I'd like to make black solidarity more fly than the newest Bugatti whip. There's nothing we have that's more valuable, and there's nothing that we have that we take for granted more. Somebody got shot. Who was it? A black freedom fighter. We're going to march. We're going to fight. We're going to boycott. Somebody got shot. Who was it? A self-hating Uncle Tom that all over social media have been dissing all black people. We're going to march. We're human. Revolutionaries are fucking human beings. And revolutionaries see. Snoop Doggy Dogg right now, when they banned Farrakhan, Snoop Doggy Dogg said he's boycotting Facebook. Snoop Doggy Dogg posted this picture of him embracing Farrakhan. And y'all remember Tookie Williams? And let me tell y'all something about Tookie. I know y'all not like, Tookie was a damn serial killer. Tookie killed dozens of black people and never went to jail for killing one black person. He went to jail because he robbed an Asian or Vietnamese or Korean-owned grocery store and shot them people up. But you talk from people that were in LA during the 80s, late 70s. I know some brothers from around that way. There are dozens of unsolved murders. And when Tookie, Snoop Doggy running around, free Tookie. They banned Farrakhan from Facebook. Snoop Doggy Dogg's ready to fight. They took away Mumia. Remember, they tried to murder Mumia through medical neglect. They gave him hepatitis They infected this man with a pernicious disease, and then they refused to give him proper treatment, even though it was a curable disease. They refused. He developed diabetes and other infectious skin ailment, and they left this man in a concrete cell to rot away and die. What the fuck did Snoop say? Right. They said free when they wanted to execute Tukey, but what'd he say about Asada? What'd he say about Pete O'Neill? What'd he say about Geronimo Jujaga? What'd he say about Matulu Shakur? Sundiata Akoli? These people ain't with us. They don't support us. They don't deserve our solidarity. They don't even deserve us bopping our heads and shaking our asses to their degenerate anti-human music. But Lord, I don't want to get linked, so I won't even go there. But I don't know how many times the black elites can show us their asses, and we still got pride. We still let our kids put posters up. Bobby E. Wright said back in the 70s, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was beloved. He was in movies kicking Bruce Lee, and he was the coldest blooded giant of a man. Then they said he left his black wife and went and got with this white girl. And so Bobby E. Wright said whenever Kareem would come on TV back in the 70s and 80s, he'd turn off his TV, or he'd have his children turn it off. It might not be a lie. We can't shut these people down. We can't cancel their concerts. We can't prevent them from getting their private Lear jets and flying all over the world, and enjoying the ravages of global capitalism. We can't stop that. And I don't care if you got 2.5 black people. 2.5 black people exercising principled solidarity is more valuable than 1,000 black people out here shucking and fucking jiving. That's all I can say. Pro-Blackness is inadequate. It's erosive. And the reason pro-Blackness is erosive because the people who act in our people's interest have no incentive for doing so. And like I said, revolutionaries are human. We get exhausted. And it's hurtful. When you've been grinding for your people for years and you see people who have acted against us, disrespect us, undermined us, get as much love and support, get as much sympathy, empathy, and protest when they're bitten by the very beast that they profited from. So I'm not saying don't be pro-black. I'm saying understand that your pro-blackness don't mean shit. That your pro-blackness don't mean a goddamn thing. That your pro-blackness needs to have an ideological and operational component. What is your ideology? How do you act on your ideology? Because you might have somebody who's like, yeah, I'm black and I'm a black nationalist. What do you do about it? What organization are you with? What organization what are your day-to-day operations? How do you advance the interests of black people? How do you work to subvert the interests of our oppressors? What are you doing? What are you willing to do? What are you able to do? That's my position. So your pro-blackness have a ideological component. What is your fundamental ideology? Do you acknowledge the humanity of all African people? Because we got black eugenicists out here. You got to be this shade of black. You got to be from this region. I got black people telling me, Africans are blacker than Jamaicans. Black Americans are somehow superior and more worthy of reparations than Africans who have suffered atrocities other places in the world. So that's not pro-black. So if you got hierarchical, discriminatory, classist, sexist, pro-blackness, that's not pro-blackness. In fact, you're just as bad as an Uncle Tom because you're contaminating the one good thing we have, which is our solidarity. Guard our solidarity. And let me say one more thing before I go, because I got to wrap this up. I got people online saying that Farrakhan is being attacked because he exposed the Jews. Let me tell you one thing about Farrakhan. Whenever you hear the word Farrakhan, think these two words: controlled opposition. Farrakhan, controlled opposition. Controlled opposition. Go back and look at the history. The nation of Israel is a criminal, racist, xenophobic, genocidal nation that is engaged in global crime. The nation of Israel is knee deep in everything from the heroin trade to illegal organ trade to illegal weapons trading. Even America says that Israel is its greatest ally. They gave Israel nuclear power and nuclear weapons tech, and then they flip it, remix it, and sell it to America's enemies. Israel has been caught spying on the United States. It's a mess, right? So they turn around, so they say, yeah. But here's another thing. When you say Jews are different than Zionists, you got Falasha Jews, you got black Hebrew Israelites. The Jews control the media. There's a lot of black. Judaism is a religion. And y'all know how I ain't going to go into the problems with the religion. I think every religion is for shit. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Shintoism, Hinduism, Buddhism, dare I say, even this spirituality and spiritual systems. It's all shit. That being said, Farrakhan knows what he says when he says Jews. Because if you go look at Kwame Nkrumah and Kwame Ture, you go look at Kwame Ture, he was one of the biggest, most aggressive enemies of Zionism. There are speeches, there are essays, there are movements. The All African People's Revolutionary Party was one of the strongest parties against Zionism. You go look at Steve Coakley, the late great Steve Coakley. All he talked about were the Jews and what the Jews did. But he told you, it's the Zionist. He was the first person to blow up the research about the alliance between apartheid South Africa and Israel. But Farrakhan is not out here talking about Zionism per se. And let me tell you why. Let's say Israel, like they invade the Golan Heights, Israel massacres Palestinians, Israel, a shipment of heroin, illegal human organs are found somewhere, and you find that the Mossad was engaged in assassinating U.S. citizens, or the IDF kills a U.S. citizen that's trying to stand in. Whenever something like that happens, then all of a sudden Farrakhan pops up and says, Jews are gutter Jews, these Jews. And so we go from talking about Zionist atrocities to talking about anti-Semitism. I'm noticing a pattern here. Israel just spent all of last year murdering in cold blood in front of the world all of the Palestinians. Just mowing them down, men, women, and children. Mowing them down. Taking selfies with the corpses. And instead of talking about that in the black community and what that means, instead of talking about how the cops that shot Michael Brown and covered it up went to Israel for special urban tactical training, we're talking about anti-Semitism now. So you'll find a lot of these anti-Semites, you'll find that it's very curious. Israeli atrocities, and then some prominent person pops up and it's anti-Semitism. We go from Israeli atrocities and then it gets drowned out in the media about anti-Semitism. Alex Jones does it. A lot of right-winger, a lot of evangelical right-wingers, and a lot of black militants. It's a good hustle if you can get in on it. It pays well. That's one thing. Another thing. I had a lot of stupid people coming on my feeds and coming to me talking about, he tells us the truth about the Jews. Let me tell you something. How do you applaud a man that's exposing the Jews, but packaging up black people and handing us over to Islam for the last half century? Do I need to recall Islam's atrocities? Where do you want to go? You want to go back 1,600 years? Or 600 years? 100 years? You want to go back last week? You want to go back to 2 minutes ago? Do I need to tell you about the slave markets? You think Libya is the only place with slave markets? They got African slaves and Arab masters in Senegal. They got Eritrean, Amharic, and Oromo slaves in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, the Kingdom of Kuwait, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Not only has Farrakhan never spoke up about Arab and Islamic atrocities against African people, he has attacked and suppressed people who wrote about it. Go read Samuel Cotton's. Go read the journalist Samuel Cotton. He's dead too, but his work is timeless. I don't think he gets enough credit. So I don't understand that. That's like, I'm trying to get you off the swine, but I'm selling you beef. How are you exposing the Jews, but you're not exposing the Muslims? And guess who are the number one allies of Israel? The dictatorship of Egypt, the Kingdom of Jordan. The two top non-U.S. allies of Israel are Muslim nations. Number one, trade, weapons, cooperation, capturing terrorists, Jordan, Israel. And then, who's the number three? The Saudi royal oligarchs, the Saudi oligarchs. The insidious Zionists have more Muslim friends than Christian friends. Hell, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, they got closer relationships with Israel than France, Germany, the UK, Ireland, Spain, Portugal. So yes, United States is the number one ally of Israel, but under that, the top 5 to 6 allies under the United States are all Muslim nations. Farrakhan's been selling us, been packaging up poor, under or uneducated, desperate black people, cleaning them up. And by cleaning them up, putting a bow tie around their neck and a bean pie and a newspaper in their arms. That's cleaning up. They still in poverty. Many of those Muslims you see out here cleaned up, that's all they got is that one suit. While the hierarchy lives, you know how cults operate. I don't care if it's the Asar set. I don't care if it's freaking Nuwabians. I ain't got it, or these black Hebrew sects. Don't matter. What's this game about? So people tell me, he's telling us about the Jews control the media. The Jews, he ain't telling us about the Jews. He's controlled opposition. You can't tell me that you're going to expose one oppressive religion and warn us and prepare us and help us to fight and enlighten us about one oppressive religion while you are a figurehead that's at the helm of another fucking oppressive religion. I mean, as bad as Israel is, and it's bad. Only Muslims are the ones that just kidnapped all them little girls, Boko Haram, Sudan. Those bombs dropped at the U.S. Embassy in Kenyans that killed Kenyans, where Kenyans were marching in the streets saying, fight America's in America, because they were sick of terrorists, Islamic terrorists, killing people all over Africa in the name of fighting the great Satan in America. And so Africans were walking around their communities saying, fight America's in America, stop using our soil as a battleground. What did Farrakhan say? So I can't tell you about how toxic mercury is while I'm feeding you cyanide. Let me repeat that. I'm not your friend if all I tell you about how toxic mercury is while I'm feeding you cyanide. So please stop posting on my page about how they're punishing Farrakhan for enlightening us about the Jews. Because he's selling us one toxin as he's exposing another toxin. And he ain't even honest about that toxin. He don't even condemn, you want to talk about the gutter religion and all that bullshit he talks. He doesn't even condemn. Has he said anything about the King of Jordan? Has he said anything about the Saudi oligarchs? Man, listen. I ain't saying you can't follow Farrakhan. And all these people who love, let me tell you, I said this before, I'm going to say it one more time. I wrote it before, now I'm saying it with words. Love is absolute acceptance and clarity. If you ain't got acceptance, you don't have love. If you ain't got clarity, you don't have love. You got lust, you got delusion, you got even strong desires, but you don't have love. So I ain't saying you can't love that man. Everybody that come tell me, I love the minister, I love that man. And they're not honest about him. They're not honest. I know my wife loved me. Why? Because she'll run down my flaws as quickly as she run down my assets. You get her. Take her out. She loves going out to get. She loves her vegan cappuccinos. You take her to some fancy coffee spot and you buy her a vegan, is it latte or cappuccino? Whatever. You buy her an expensive, fancy vegan coffee. A person that loves you, your mama loves you, and she can tell you everything that's wrong with you. Like that. You even tell you, a person that loves you will be like, oh yeah, I love them. What's wrong with them? Oh, they need to get their shit together. That's love. So all these delusional, wide-eyed, crazy-looking exes and Mohammeds that's coming to me talking about, oh, I love them. You don't love the minister. Because if you love the minister, you'd be the first people standing up saying, hey, minister, you got to fix this. What is your relationship with Reverend Sun Young Moon? What is your relationship with Alex Jones? What is your relationship with L. Ron Hubbard's cult, Scientology? Why do you keep going back and forth on your collusion with the coordination with the assassination of Malcolm X? Why are you telling us about the evils and the crimes of Judaism, but not pointing to but yet encouraging people to embrace Islam? And half the time you giving this public service, you sound like a backwoods Baptist preacher, and the other times you sound like a militant Muslim nationalist. Pick a team, pick a side. How are you sitting on stage next to some of the greatest enemies, these various congressmen? How you endorse Obama running for president? All over the place. If you loved him. Because that's what Malcolm loved Elijah. Because Malcolm was like, he's my teacher. He did all this for me. But there's a lot of behaviors that are unacceptable. That's love. You better fix it. That's love. So, I ain't even saying you can't love the man. It ain't lost. And I do no harm to black people. Hell, black people. I don't do harm to chickens and I'm a vegan, tree-hugging hippie. People like to come at me and I'm proud of it. I'm very proud that I've never pointed a gun at another living creature in this world. I'm very proud of the fact that I don't condone any level of violence. I believe the only justified form of violence is defensive violence. I don't believe in offensive violence. All that aside, y'all don't know love. Y'all don't know love. Y'all know cultism. Yeah, hey, if I got to, I got to. I look, hey, I'm born and raised in Missouri. I know my way around a pistol. But like I said, I'm very fortunate. I ain't had to go there. But that don't mean I don't, just because I ain't went there don't mean I don't have directions. But anyway, that's all I want to say. Don't be pro-black. And if you can't stand with the individual, don't stand with the movement around the individual. You can fight internet censorship. You can fight racist censorship on the internet without having to and say I denounce Farrakhan and I'm indifferent to what's going on with that. That's my position. I am indifferent to him being banned from social media because you know what? He should have been banned from black community in 1964. When he said Malcolm was a traitor, when he said Malcolm got what was coming to him, that should have been it for us. Pharaoh who? Pharaoh what? I didn't attend the Million Man March. I didn't attend the Million Family March. I didn't attend the Million More movement. And none of them hustles. None of them hustles. There's even been instances in Kansas City. Farrakhan came to speak in Kansas City. It was my organization that brought him there to speak. I didn't lead the organization. I spoke my piece. I don't think we should do this. But they said no. I was overruled. I was just a grunt worker. I did my piece, and I said my piece, and then I allowed them to proceed. But I'm gonna stand on principle. I'm gonna stand on principle, and I ain't saying you got. There's so many people I stand in solidarity with that I have fundamental disagreements with. You know, but I don't shun people unless they take a deliberate, conscious now act against the interest of our people, subvert the interest of our people, disrupt or subvert the people who are working in the interest of our people. And it's been too long. It's too much evidence. It's too long a history. And there's always been excuses made. But anyway, I'm going too long. It's almost an hour. And I told my wife, was like, yeah, I'll see you in an hour. And I was like, you ain't going to see me in an hour. I'm going to be online about 5-15 minutes. I just want to tell black people to stop being pro-black. Your ideology needs to be more grow up. Are you a revolutionary Pan-Africanist? Are you a black nationalist? Are you a militant integrationist? But just being pro-black don't mean nothing. That's like being pro-air. Yeah, you're not noble. Yeah, I'm pro-air too. That's just a thing. What else are you? You know, Trump needs air as much as I do. I'm not pro-Obama. I'm not pro-J and Bay. I'm not pro-black capitalism. I'm not pro-black Christianity. I'm not pro-black religion. I'm pro-secularism. My very, very specific. There's way too much complexity amongst black folks for us to be just fronting like we do nowadays. And things have changed. The environment that we operate has changed. And we should learn from the successes and the failures of our great ancestors. We can't remake the Garvey movement. We can't rebuild the UNIA. We can't go back and build the Egyptian pyramids in antiquity. We are moving forward. The Sankofa concept is you got to look back in order to move forward. Sankofa is not you got to look back and move backwards. So we take the wisdom of our ancestors and we learn from the missteps of our ancestors, but we're going this way. And you can't even say, well, black people did this in the past, therefore it's justified now. Or black people never did this before, therefore we shun it now. That's regressive. That's reactionary. That's a whole nother discussion that I ain't got time to get into because I'm still at 57 minutes. So if I get out of here before 1 full hour, I can walk out there with my head up high and say my wife was wrong because she said you're gonna be on. I'll see you in an hour. And I said no, I'm not gonna be on live for an hour. Evolution, yes, and evolution is real. We were not created. Black folks evolved, and that ain't white science. That's scientific, biological fact. But anyway, I'm sorry I wasn't here Friday. Let's try to do a Q&A tomorrow. Because I'm stuck in the house tending to my son with a broken leg. So I'll probably be online with y'all all day. I already got my old, stuck in the house sweater. It's my son. And I told him, don't be out there skateboarding in inclement weather. But he thinks he's that good. But anyway, don't pray for my son. I'm the only person in the world that call for no prayers. I appreciate thoughts. You can contemplate on my son's conditions. You can reflect on my son's conditions. You can even lament my son's conditions. But don't pray to God for my son. Because any God that can cure is a God that can prevent. We all know preventative medicine. So if he allows you to get the disease, then, oh, crap, I got 1 minute to get off of here before my wife is right. So let's prove Dr. Mingo wrong, and let's prove Dr. Mingo didn't know what she was talking about when she said I would be gone for an hour, because it's 59 minutes and 11 seconds. That is not an hour, so she's wrong saying I'd be online for at least an hour. Peace, Black Power. Shout out to China Fox, who I want to call Black China. I love calling her, but I can't. She get mad at me. Shout out to China Fox. Shout out to Ajani. I appreciate your patience more than anything else. I have, but we got to sit and talk. Bro Diallo, DialloKenyatta.com, Bro Diallo Archives, Patreon.